So have you heard that most American fish stocks are healthy and there's a viable market? Now, I didn't know that myself till this morning when I ran across a document, Executive Order 14276, that clearly states as a premise that most American fish stocks are healthy and they have viable markets. So after reading that, I was thinking, oh, okay, well, where are these healthy fish stocks at? And maybe we're just being negative about everything. We're just inundated with hearing so much about depleted salmon runs and the menhaden being wiped out over on the East Coast and so forth. You know, maybe there are some bright spots, and yeah, I'm sure there are, but I can think of one, actually, that I would call a healthy fishery, and that would be the Cordell Bank. Now, the Cordell Bank is about 50 miles northwest off the coast of San Francisco, California coast. That was an area that was pretty well wiped out many years ago, and it was finally closed a little over 20 years ago, maybe 23 years ago. So there hasn't been any fishing out there for about over 2 decades. And it's just recently been opened up. And what I've heard from some guys that have gone out there fishing is they're trying to get the jig down to the bottom, you know, for lingcod, and they can't even get the jig to the bottom because all the other fish, you know, the more midwater fish and so forth, they're so thick that they can't get the jig down. They just they get eaten up before they get there. So there's a whole lot of fish out there. So, you know, it shows that fisheries can rebound if you give them a chance and they have, you know, decent water conditions and a lot of food. And that Cordell Bank it's a seamount that drops off right in to off the continental shelf. So you get that deep water upwelling, and the way the currents work there, it's just super nutrient rich water. So that's awesome. So I know everybody's like really excited to be able to go out to the Cordell Bank. You know, that's like, you know, mythology type stuff. But actually, I do have plans in the works to go out there and film. So I'm hoping to do that. Now, in that document that I mentioned earlier, it goes on and on about how we need to expand commercial fishing. You know, we're deregulate, expand the fishable waters, and let the fishermen catch more fish. We need more fish to, you know, not only for ourselves, but for export. Got a $20 billion trade deficit with fish and fisheries, and we need to close that trade deficit. And also makes it very clear that we need to increase the amount of aquaculture, the amount of fish farms. So, you know, we need to eat for sure. The thing about the Cordell Banks is it's not just sport fishermen out there fishing them, it's open to the commercials too. And the question that I'm going to have, or the thing that we need, you know, to pay attention to, what's going to be interesting to see in the future, is if we wipe it out again. You know, can we fish such an awesome place like that, both commercially and you know, your typical sport guy out there catching dinner? Can we do that without wiping it out? So, time will tell.